With all the insane lore drops we just got about Sun God Nika from chapter 1136, I wanted to discuss the situation on how there seems to be two sun gods between Loki and Luffy. Without a doubt, Luffy is this generation's iteration of Sun God Nika, but then why is Loki claiming to also be the sun god? Is there any truth to his claim, or is he just lying? There has been a ton of speculation on what Loki's legendary devil fruit may be, like Fenrir from Norse mythology, a sun logia, or just anything that gives him a sun god-like appearance. This chapter made me realize the answer might have been in front of us this entire time. I think Loki and Luffy have the exact same devil fruit, the Hito Hito no Mi, model Nika. How can this be possible when there can't be two users of the same devil fruit existing at the same time? There can be when one is artificial. I think Luffy has the artificial version of the Sun God Nika fruit. Now I want you to bear with me because I believe that Oda has been laying the foundation for this ever since we got Momo's story. Momonosuke ate an artificial version of Kaido's devil fruit, the Ua Ua no Mi model Seiryu. While Vegapunk claims it's a failure simply due to Momo being a pink dragon rather than a blue one, Momo displayed countless abilities that Kaido can do with his fruit, prompting Luffy to tell Vegapunk it isn't a failure. Now Vegapunk says something quite interesting when he's explaining how he can create artificial fruits, that virtually all fruits of zone types, even the special ones, can probably be recreated with substantial amounts of money and time. But he hasn't confirmed if they can awaken, something we have yet to see confirmed because we still don't know if Kaido ever awakened his devil fruit to compare it with Momo's. The Sun God Nika fruit falls into the zone category, so what's stopping someone that has the capabilities as Vegapunk from creating an artificial version? Now, if I'm claiming that Luffy has eaten an artificial devil fruit, then who made it? It wasn't Vegapunk since he just met Luffy and Luffy's fruit has been evading the world government for over 800 years. Leaving a pretty obvious answer. The ancient kingdom created it. And before you discount this idea because an artificial version cheapens Luffy's power, I want to bring up something Oda has constantly been showing us. As smart as Vegapunk is, his creations are always second to the Ancient Kingdom's technology. He can't recreate what they made, he can only create lesser versions. We see this with Vega Force 1 because it's a lesser version of the Iron Giant. The Mother Flame is an incomplete version of the Ancient Kingdom's power source, and if we correlate this pattern to Vegapunk's artificial devil fruit, that means an artificial devil fruit created by the Ancient Kingdom has to be superior, meaning it might be near perfect to its real counterpart, virtually indistinguishable to tell the difference between the two, unlike how Vegapunk's artificial fruit had the color flaw. And the reason I'm so confident in this being the answer is because when the Giants are discussing what kind of god Nika was, they can't agree if he was a god of liberation, god of destruction, or a god of laughter, but what they can all agree on is his appearance. Ja Rule says the sun god is adorned by white clouds, with white hair and white clothes, and has a contagious booming laugh, which is obviously Luffy's Gear 5 form. So regardless of what the sun god's true title was, it's an agreed fact of the Giants that the sun god has this exact appearance, which means that Loki also knows this. So I believe whatever Loki's devil fruit power is, it must grant him a similar appearance to Luffy's Gear 5 form, otherwise Loki wouldn't be claiming he's the sun god. And I tried to wrap my head around what this devil fruit could be if it's not Luffy's fruit. I mean, does he have the Cloud fruit? Probably not. And I believe this white appearance requirement kills a lot of other fan theories because we even see the Giant's version of Sun God Nika in this chapter. He looks exactly like Luffy's Gear 5 appearance, which once again solidifies that this appearance is the bare requirement for one to claim they're the sun god. So then it just hit me. What are the chances they have the same devil fruit? And it's possible if one is artificial because we have an example of this from Momo and Kaido. Now, why would the Ancient Kingdom create an artificial version of the Sun God Nika fruit? I think it's because having more than one gives the Ancient Kingdom side more chances of finally beating Imu and winning the war, since the Sun God Nika fruit seems to be crucial in that endeavor. But I thought of a more logical reason the Ancient Kingdom would recreate this fruit. It's because of the Giants. With the revelation that the world has been destroyed twice now, this means there was another war before the Void Century one. And who knows how long ago that was, maybe hundreds or thousands of years ago. And since we know Joy Boy fought in the Void Century War and was another user of the Sun God Nika fruit, then there had to have been a user before him, possibly Nika himself. And we can confidently assume this other previous version of Nika also lost. If the Giants royalty at that time acquired his fruit after he died, what if the Giants royalty safeguarding the Sun God fruit all of this time is the reason the good side keeps losing the war? Since the Giants' legendary devil fruit is passed down through the royal line, which I assume means each king eventually eats it, in doing that, it's preventing the fruit from finding the chosen ones of each era. Since the ancient kingdom was so technologically advanced, they could finally solve this problem by making their own artificial version of the Sun God Nika fruit. If the ancient kingdom was friendly with the Elbath king at the time, they could have taken some of his blood and create the artificial fruit from his lineage factor, just like Vegapunk did with Kaido's lineage factor. And since the giants aren't the brightest bunch, the king would be none the wiser to this request. Through whatever means, the fruit would go to Joy Boy, who ultimately failed in his mission to beat Emu, but Joy Boy would know this wouldn't be the end because their version of the fruit would finally do what it was intended to do, use its will to find its way to the next destined user, that person being Luffy. This is also another callback to the latest chapter. The giants say it's every giant's dream to become the Sun God, whereas Luffy, even with the knowledge he has now, doesn't even consider himself this god of legend. That's why I think even though he and Loki both have the same devil fruit, the fruit chose Luffy, not Loki. Luffy is the true destined one. He never chose to be the Sun God like all the giants want to. Destiny chose him. Going back to Kaido and Momo, their situation parallels Loki and Luffy in other ways. Kaido also thought he was the second coming of Joy Boy, who is another variation of Sun God Nika, and Kaido has the genuine version of his devil fruit, just like Loki has the genuine version of his fruit and claims to be the Sun God, both to be proven wrong by Luffy. I also believe that Oda created this plot point of being able to artificially create devil fruits because it's going to pay off when it's revealed that Luffy's fruit is also one. Vegapunk even makes a point to say Logias can't be artificially created and Paramecius can only be recreated using Vegapunk's green blood invention. To me, it's a no-brainer that if any zone, even the special ones, can be recreated, why wouldn't someone make another version of the most important devil fruit in existence? And unless Momo's Devil Fruit's awakening is going to be super relevant to the story, which I doubt, I think Oda set up the groundwork with Momo's artificial zone storyline to foreshadow Luffy's situation, and so it's not something that came out of nowhere. We even have that funny interaction when Luffy first met Momo and learns that he's not a real dragon, but a human that just ate a devil fruit, and Luffy tells him to just turn back into a human, which shocks Momo that he could even do that and asks how. Luffy replies that he doesn't know because he's not a zone, which is ironic now that we know Luffy actually is a zone type. Wouldn't it be even funnier if Luffy's fruit is also artificial, just like Momo's? Something else that indicates Loki may have the Sun God Nika fruit is his bounty. Loki is the only character in the story that has a special bounty. We don't know why this is, but we can speculate it's because of his legendary devil fruit. He keeps claiming he's the Sun God, so he might literally have the genuine Sun God Nika fruit, and the world government knows this, which is why they gave him a special bounty. Law doesn't even have a special bounty, and he has a devil fruit that has a 5 billion berry bounty all on its own, with a power that can grant immortality. The Sun God fruit is different though because it can challenge the world government's power. And remember the energy steroids from Fishman Island? Maybe those were the first attempts by the Ancient Kingdom at recreating Sun God Nika's power. They mirror Gear 5 Luffy in so many ways. White hair, reddish eyes, increased strength, and when the power wears off, it causes rapid aging, just like what happens to Luffy. The only difference is Luffy can spring back because of his rubber qualities. Maybe the energy steroids were the stepping stone for the Ancient Kingdom, which then led them to figure out they could create artificial devil fruits with lineage factors. And do you really think Vegapunk was the first person in history to figure out how to successfully create artificial devil fruits? No way, especially with how superior the Ancient Kingdom's technology was. And since Vegapunk follows a pattern of just recreating things the Ancient Kingdom already invented, I believe there's a very strong chance they created their own versions of artificial devil fruits. And like I said before, the Ancient Kingdom's versions might have been such perfect copies that if they were found by someone who didn't know they were artificial, they would just think it's a genuine devil fruit, which is what I think Luffy's is. If Luffy does have the artificial version of the Sun God Nika fruit, I think this would bring a cool dynamic between him and Loki. At first, Loki might be stunned that Luffy has the same power as him and claim Luffy is pulling some sort of trick. Then, if they both learn that Loki has the genuine version and Luffy has the artificial, it would bring into question could an artificial version truly be a genuine sun god? And I believe it is, not just because Luffy is the main character, but the fruit would still have the lineage factor of the true Nika, meaning his will resides in both fruits. And because zone fruits have wills of their own, Luffy's fruit seems to have found its way to him. And who knows, maybe Nika's will only resides in Luffy's version, and that's the difference between these two fruits. The point I made before about the Giants' royalty just routinely eating their legendary devil fruit to keep it in their royal lineage would mean that version of the fruit isn't getting the chance to find the person whose will matches up with the fruit's will. Because of that, there's a good chance Loki's will does not match up with his fruit's will. If Loki doesn't have the right will, maybe this will be yet another callback to Kaido. It has never been confirmed if Kaido awakened in his battle with Luffy or even has the capabilities to awaken. Kaido tells us the secret to awakening is when your mind catches up to your devil fruit. Maybe Loki never awakened his version of the Sun God Nika fruit because his will isn't matching up with the fruit's will, just like Kaido. and Big Mom was the one to give Kaido his devil fruit. This instance, along with Loki just eating his fruit to have it, are both examples of characters eating fruits that probably wouldn't have chosen them. And with Loki's bounty of 2.6 billion berries, it might be fitting that he has an unawakened version of the Sun God Nika fruit, because the world government would definitely be concerned of his fruit, but more so if it was awakened, because that version has the power to overthrow them. But maybe they know over the thousands of years the giants have had this fruit, no giant since Nika has been able to awaken the fruit. Otherwise, I think Loki would have a much higher bounty. But that's all I got for this theory. Leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you want more One Piece theories, and I'll see you next time.